Alrighty trainers, TaeganAdventures here. So, you should have known by now that this weekend, Rayquaza will be coming to Tier 5 raids in Pokémon Go. From the 15th of March, 8 PM GMT to the 18th of March, 8 PM GMT. You can convert that to your own local time zone using a time zone converter of your choice. But anyway, what I will be discussing today will be how to beat Rayquaza in Pokemon Go. So if you remember, about a year ago, I actually made my own Rayquaza guide, but since then, we have had new additions to the Pokemon Go meta used against Rayquaza, including some brand new Generation 4 Pokemon, which you can definitely use against Rayquaza. So, as you know, Rayquaza is a dragon and flying type, meaning that it is weak to dragon, fairy, rock, and ice type attacks, with the ice type weakness being a double weakness. So definitely use those ice type attacks while you can. Rayquaza has a pretty decent moveset actually, with the most troublesome one being Outrage. Outrage has a really high DPS, so if you're up against a Rayquaza with Outrage, you'll need at least 5 people to reasonably beat. For the other movesets, you need about 3 to 4 people if all of them are at least level 35, or at least 5 to 10 if they're under level 35. Ancient Power is also a pretty important coverage move on Rayquaza, especially if you're using those ice types. But Ancient Power is a pretty low base power move, so you might want to send in your more tanky ice types in that case, or just your fairy types or your rock types. So definitely take the moveset of the Rayquaza into consideration when you want to choose your counters. In terms of the perfect IV CP, you're looking at 2191 in non-weather boosted conditions and 2739 in weather boosted conditions. That is windy weather. In terms of counters, definitely ice types are the ones that are going to be the most recommended. Definitely prioritize using those ice types, especially if your Rayquaza does not have Ancient Power, which will hit your ice type super effective. Your go-to ice types would be Mamoswine and Weavile with the movesets I shall list on screen. Powder Snow Avalanche for Mamoswine and Ice Shard Avalanche for Weavile. If you don't have any decent ice types, you can always opt for Mewtwo. I know it's pretty hard for some of you, especially since Mewtwo is a legendary, which is now out of the tier 5 raid boss rotation, but Mewtwo with Confusion and Ice Beam, or Psycho Cut and Ice Beam, are definitely good attackers, especially against Rayquaza. Coming off an amazingly high attack stat, Ice Beam is sure to do a lot of damage, especially with that very amazing DPS, as you can see. As for Dragon type counters though, you might want to beware of Outrage, but if your Rayquaza has any other move apart from Outrage, you want to send in your Dragon types like Dragonite with Dragon Tail and Draco Meteor, or Dragon Tail and Outrage. Those two have amazing DPS. Draco Meteor, I'm aware, is an exclusive move for Community Day, so Dragon Tail and Outrage would be the best and most accessible moveset. If you don't have a good Dragonite, you can opt for Salamence, which is a pretty good Draco Meteor alternative. If you're looking for some more tanky counters, you might want to consider a Dialga, especially since Dialga is in the raid pool for tier 5 raids as of now, so definitely try for a Dialga if you can. And also Regice is available as a research breakthrough reward with Frost Breath and Blizzard. It is a pretty tanky, pretty reliable DPS. The only thing letting it down is its mediocre attack stat. In terms of rock type counters, you want to go for Tyranitar with Stone Edge. Definitely your go-to if you don't have the ice or dragon types. Smackdown Stone Edge on Tyranitar is pretty good, but unfortunately Smackdown is an exclusive move, so for those of you who can't get access to Smackdown, I'll definitely recommend Iron Tail and Stone Edge. It has the second best DPS compared to Smackdown Stone Edge. Other honorable mentions include Rhyperior with Smackdown Stone Edge and Rampardos with Smackdown and Rock Slide, which also has pretty good DPS. If you want to take into consideration the weather boost, definitely windy weather would be the most ideal for Rayquaza, especially if you want to get the weather boosted Rayquaza. Definitely try to hunt in windy weather. If you're in an area frequently with windy weather, that would be a good starting point for weather boosted Rayquaza. Well, I know some of you may not be interested in this, but in terms of PvP, Rayquaza is actually a pretty good attacker with an immense 284 attack stat and 213 HP. It's pretty bulky in terms of attack. Pretty good coverage with Dragon Tail and Outrage. Definitely those neutral dragon type attacks are going to come in pretty useful bar fairy types. With the attack boost with Ancient Power, it's definitely a strong contender in the Ultra and the Master League. That about wraps it up for my updated Rayquaza raid guide. Hopefully this comes in useful for your own Rayquaza raids, and definitely share this with your friends if they need help with Rayquaza raids as well. That is all for this episode of TaeganAdventures, and I shall see you in the next episode. This has been TaeganAdventures here, signing off right now. Peace out.